have personal Facebook pages. And I just want to dispel a myth. If you really want to get into a career in social media, you need to shave your head and grow a goatee. Ladies, you do. Let me start off with a question. How many businesses in this room have a professional Facebook page? So about 2/3, 3/4. Excellent. How about other social media platforms? Who's on Twitter? Oh, 33, 40%. Okay, great. G+, 25%. Excellent. How about some of the blogging platforms? WordPress or Tumblr? Blogger. Okay, excellent. Okay, so let's start with this. We want this to be a discussion this morning, so we put together an agenda. It'll get real boring if we just talk. I would much rather hear what you have to say, and that will help us lead you through a discussion. As I was mentioning to Ken earlier, we had those storybooks when we were growing up, and based on which way you wanted to take the story, the book would lead you in a different direction. You wouldn't read the book from cover to cover. So that's the way we're going to take an approach this morning. So let's start with this. What is social media? And I'm looking for everybody here to try and give me their definition of what is social media. Engagement.
Getting out there, getting known, getting seen.
Getting known, getting seen. Anybody else? Everybody else? Yeah, go ahead.
I think social media now gives you, as a producer of content, the ability to broadcast. I always liken it to 2, 5, 7, and 9. You don't get to choose the content that gets displayed on those networks, but you, running social media, now have the opportunity to push content that supports your business, that displays your unique selling proposition, and gives you an opportunity to shape the dialogue. It opens up the two-way channel so that the discussion is now your customer and you, or your constituents and you, but it really gives you the opportunity to steer the conversation. I think that's what the power of social media is.
If I can add to that, I like to keep it very short and sweet. If I whittle it down on a personal level, I think sharing of information is the easiest, simplest way that you can describe social media. I'm going to amend that for business purposes and add the word intelligent sharing of information. And Joe was right. You are now your own publisher, your own broadcaster, and you need to put a lot of thought into that and some caution as to what you put out there. So let's talk about this. Does everybody here have a website for their business? Show of hands. Real quick. Okay, so everybody has a website. In your opinion, what's more important? Your website or your social media?
Social media.
Both.
Website is part of your social media.
Interesting. Okay.
From a historical.
That's different. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Carol that it is part of your social media. You're using social media to steer traffic to your website to initiate your purchase decision or to inform people further about your services. Go ahead, question.
But your website, I mean, they have your mobile phones, and it actually will link right to your website through the mobile phone. They have a mobile app, and it shows your
Yeah,
website.
and a portion of your audience will find your website through organic search.
Yeah.
They know your name, if you're networking, they came across your business card. But what about people who don't meet you face to face, who don't have any other exposure? That's a different channel to land on your webpage, whether it be through social, whether it be through inquiry on social media.
And not everyone's on Facebook too, so for those who are on Facebook.
Percentages is how I always like to think about this. What percentage of your audience is being drawn through social media? It's the great thing with analytics now, you can tell where people are coming from and how the exact path they're taking to find your website.
And to Carol's point, for those who don't know, blogging was the original social media. WordPress is the oldest platform out there, 2001. Facebook is the second oldest, 2003. You want to talk about dynamic versus static content for a minute on the website?
Sure. New results are coming back in terms of conversion rates and click-throughs, and dynamic content would be a video, audio clip, even a little bit less. But static content is more of the written word of your site. These photos can be included in that and everything, but there's something like a 7-to-1 click-through rate recently released. Videos posted on Facebook versus videos posted on YouTube, and being able to steer that additional amount of traffic, posting video, pictures worth 1,000 words, a video worth a million, or something to that effect.
So yes, so in that, I would strongly encourage you to, when you set your website, to have a blog incorporated within. So when you're looking at the platform foundation, definitely look into that. It's something that becomes part of your social media strategy. So let's go on to the next topic, which is why should we use social media? And again, a question to the audience. Why should you use social media?
To reach people that you wouldn't run into on a daily basis, or that you knew before that you haven't talked to too much.
Okay. Anybody else?
To increase your credibility in whatever your particular discipline is.
Anybody else?
It's a quick and efficient way to get the message out there, and sometimes you might not have time to write a whole blog post, but you do have like 2 minutes to put up, to tweet something. So you
Okay.
can keep the conversation going, without having to invest so much time.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple things. I like where this is going. I'm going to answer this first. I think you hit the nail on the head. And Joe said this earlier. You became your own broadcaster, your own publishing agent. You have to moderate the conversation online. From a psychology standpoint, it's no longer you telling people what they need to hear. I come from a media background. I was a media executive for a long time. And the old media philosophy was that we're going to tell you what you want to hear. It is now the community telling you what they want to hear. So what these platforms, these pages do for you is they allow you to be a part of the conversation. And I strongly encourage you to think about that, because if you are not part of the conversation on a platform or a page, that you are the moderator, trust me, they're talking about you on a platform or a page that you're not a moderator. So that's why you want to engage them and be a part of that conversation. As far as time, I would caution everybody here that it takes time to put good creative thought to craft tweets, posts, video, photo, all of that. Social media is just as important as any other part of your marketing strategy, and it should be incorporated into your marketing strategy.
Yeah, we may be jumping agenda points here, but I think posting the few 3 minutes here is a component of a successful strategy. As you want to personalize that. Jay and I were both posting in advance of speaking here a picture of the room, a unique environment, catchy kind of top of mind things, but you also want to be distributing consistent messaging in support of whatever your goals are for being on social media. And if you're on social media and you don't have specific goals and you don't have a content schedule, editorial guidelines, then you are more top of mind, and you're very unlikely to say anything to stimulate conversation. You may get a few likes here and there, you may get a, I'm sure people are attaboy Joe, waving on stage, but it's, what's the unique selling proposition? What is really going to be interesting and unique about your offering? You want to make sure to schedule content there at a frequency level that engages as well.
Can I ask a question then?
Please, that's what this is about.
Creation, call to action versus top of mind. Okay, if you do not have call to action, coupon, okay, because the business does not support it. Okay, volunteers, whatever it may be, versus the top of mind. Now, discuss those two and how the difference in the social media should be applied.
Sure. From a branding perspective, top of mind, you can just be sharing what's unique about your offering. It could be a family history, it could be years in business, it could be different communities that you're involved in, and really what's your call to awareness that there isn't one. You're just, again, more of a broadcast model where you're sharing people, you're shaping the discussion. With a call to action, you're looking for specific traction to that message that you're going to track through analytics that's going to tell you this percentage of my traffic came through Facebook, this percentage came through Google Plus. So it's not as trackable. I guess reach would be your biggest tracking factor in terms of a branding or awareness campaign, but there's still significant value to that if you're not retailing and pushing coupons or sales discounts.
I would add to that that it's going to be a different contact strategy for every single business in this room. I'm looking across this room, and it is a wide spectrum of businesses, and I'm not going to sit down and advise you the same way that I'm going to advise you. And if you weren't to engage somebody like us, I would advise you now to think about yourself in a very unique, and again, unique value proposition. The way you talk, you think, what type of business you are, where you are in your business's life cycle. So really, that's where we get into, and I alluded to this earlier, social media should be part of an overall integrated marketing strategy. Okay. Any other questions right now, Mike?
Joe, this, and you kind of covered this, but just so I understand it a little clearer, what is the time commitment you're doing this?
Do you want to take it first?
I mean, depending upon frequency, depending upon content generation, it can range. Minimum investment is probably a couple hours a week, and that's on the low end. As you increase frequency, as you increase channels, as you increase goals, you're going to have to see a correlation, increased time invested in that. So it's hard to put a hard number on it.
I would also say it also depends on how comfortable the user is. We have many clients, and all of our clients will engage in social media to some extent. And whether that's they're looking for advisory services or for us to execute. And when I work with these clients, their abilities with social media vary. And so one client may be a novice, and one person may be an expert. And for them, the expert might only take a couple of hours a week, but a couple of hours a week with this person is a much more productive use than this person. So again, it really depends on how comfortable you are, how well you understand the platforms. And those platforms change daily. What used to be a couple of updates a year, quarterly, it's now weekly, daily. Social media platforms are changing, and they're not telling you anymore.
How do you decide how many channels you can possibly use? There's so many out there.
It gets back to time. In any business decision, time and money, revenue, time. What is the best return for your time or your revenue? We talked about the different platforms earlier, and not everybody may be on Facebook, but let's kind of go down this path for a minute. I will tell you, we're tapped into Facebook at our firm on a very close level. 75% or more of the entire Chicagoland market is on Facebook, both personal and business. And all of these social media platforms code in a similar way so that you're not talking with one, you're talking in a spider web to everybody in their market. So something you need to think about is what is going to get you the biggest bang for your buck. Also, you need to understand, beyond how they code, you need to understand who is using which platform and why. The demographic that uses Facebook is potentially very different from the demographic that uses Twitter. Or the reasons they use Facebook and Twitter are two very different things. Okay?
I would just add to that it's all tied to your goals and your customer personas. If you're not doing the front end work on understanding who your customer is, where your revenue is coming from, that's really going to shape your decision. As Jay mentioned, there's different engagement levels, there's different frequency times for posting, there's ideal times for optimized posts. Something like Twitter, you're going to have to do maybe even hourly, if not more frequently than that. Facebook, a couple times a day. But as you get into the different media, there's different usage rates for all those, and you can measure. Going down path one with client persona A tied to goal A, maybe you're in a different path, but at least it's providing data that you can adjust moving forward and realign which media you're engaging. Because as Jay also mentioned, there's no two businesses here are going to be alike. going to be alike on social media, so as you start to acquire data, it's not, oh, this didn't work for me. It's, oh, this is the results I got from the spend using social media. Now I have data to make informed decisions moving forward. So it really renders a lot of the push marketing strategy, print advertisements, etc. obsolete, and we're seeing that more and more with adoption rates.
Patty?
I had a question. I think for me, the most confusing thing has been, Jay, when you're saying the community, your community telling them what they want to hear in discussion around them. So we tried like LinkedIn and stuff originally, getting in some groups and discussion and stuff. A lot of the quality of what they were talking about, I just got aggravated, to be honest. And so then I'm like, this just does not work. So if you can put some clarity around that, I think that's why I'm so hesitant is the creativity when I want to talk about and things like that is where I get stuck.
Yeah, so when we were talking with George earlier about different types of content strategies and things that you think about when you create these conversations, you know, closing the loop on that, like Joe said, is looking at your analytics. And you should be looking at your analytics from your posts to see what is most well received and how is it received. And then tweaking your content strategy based on that. So a lot of people just post and post and post and think they're doing what they should be doing, but they're missing the critical piece, which is the analytics, which is something that old media didn't have, couldn't have, this does. So you know exactly what the audience thinks about what you're saying, and you can create a content strategy from those that gets you greater engagement.
And can we dig a little deeper? What's your business? Am I sure?
Massage therapy.
Massage therapy? Okay, and you're posting on LinkedIn regularly? How about Facebook?
I'm actually not posting on LinkedIn regularly.
Okay, you're just involved in
Facebook
groups.
I actually just started. So, I think it takes a lot of time.
Content generation, yeah, without a doubt, that's the hardest part.
To get good at it, first of all. And, I guess I'm just not really sure, so.
Who's an ideal client?
Who's an ideal?
Ideal client.
I specialize primarily in, families, moms and kids, and people want chronic pain and automobile.
Just, I'm gonna pick kids just because we're doing a quick off the brain thing. Do you engage in any of the e-mom sites and garage sale sites where there's a lot of stay-at-home moms that are engaging from a family perspective? You become active in those groups. You know, maybe as a lurker to begin with, maybe as a contributor as you move forward, and then start to share content with them, sharing your family-specific practice. I mean, that's kind of the legwork that it takes to build an audience outside of your organic reach and your family and friends. You start to look at other groups, you start to look at geographies. If you type in family groups, Arlington Heights, you'll come up with a list of things, start liking and following those groups. It really is an investment in time and engagement, and then sharing relevant and frequently updated content is kind of the bullet points on my speech is always frequently updated, relevant content, shared in as broad a fashion as possible. And if it's 1% from this group, 1% from this group, 3 here, 4 here, all of a sudden you got 9% more reach in the audience that will hopefully be driving to your website, and that's kind of how you build that funnel.
You have a question?
Oh, no, I've noticed that, and I know you'll know why, but maybe you find a way around it. I mean, I have no problem paying the flag when it comes to Facebook, I've noticed that before they really promoted to boost your thing, that everyone would get every one of my posts, and then now I noticed that unless I pay, not as many people see it. So, I mean, that's something that, that's part of the business end of it.
It
So,
is.
but I have to believe they did that deliberately. And it's only on my business page, my personal page, everyone gets those notices, but as far as the business one, I know.
Here's what's happening, and it's hard to believe that it's been around for almost 13 years, but Facebook is a large entity now. beyond the business side, we've hit a saturation point. There are 7 billion people in this world. 2 billion have Facebook accounts. And I tell this to all my clients. You can sit in front of Facebook for 24 hours straight and not look at anything else but Facebook, and you're only going to see so much. It's a saturation factor. And they did this purposefully. So now, yes, there's a pay-to-play factor. Now,
It just came up the last couple of years, I noticed, so.
Correct.
I mean, I have no problem doing it, because people do see what I'm posting, but at the same time, people in the room who aren't paying to play, that's how you're gonna get your word out with your business page. Your personal page, everyone will see.
And to tie into the analytics, and this is kind of jumping around a little bit, but getting into their advertising model, the funny thing about Facebook is that it's built on a psychology principle, and it's a principle of bond and trust. It's the network of family and friends. And so you tell Facebook everything, so to speak, as a person. And so their advertising model, basically they're a giant CRM database, and they use that in their advertising model. And it's amazing and scary at the same time. It's scary on a personal level, it's amazing for a business owner. And you can target exactly who you want to be in front of, and they deliver. And then, to close the loop, the analytics show you just how well you reached your audience. So I know we jumped around a little bit there, but you're absolutely right. They are going to a pay-to-play model. They all are. And it's a part of the maturity of their business, but it's also a factor of the saturation.
What does the data say about the types of products and services that are best served by investment in social media? Certainly some things are easier to sell to an audience outside of your normal range of referrals than others. Who should be investing? I know the answer is everybody for you guys, but what we're doing is...
It's everybody. So look, some businesses are easier than others. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you it's not. But the reality is every business should have a business Facebook page because of the way that the software is coded and the way that the factor of the CRM database. I'll give you an example. We were approached by a recycling firm, a scrap firm, and they poo-pooed it at first. And when we talked with them, we said, look, give us 6 months to show you what you could be doing. And he thought we were crazy. And scrapping, really? It's not sexy, it's not fun, it's not a restaurant, it's not, that scrap firm now has people walking in his door every week telling him, I'm here because I found you on Facebook. And oh, by the way, you're the only scrap firm I found on Facebook. It's a completely just off-the-wall business that you wouldn't think is there. It's there, and let's get into a little bit more of the understanding of web traffic right now. Right now, Facebook owns 25% of all web traffic. Do you understand what I just said? 1 of every 4 web pages that is open on the web right now is Facebook. So let's get into psychology. People are lazy. We're lazy. We're not going to go off of Facebook to search Google. Oh, by the way, Facebook is updating their search engine to compete with Google on a high level, just to go further. So if I'm on Facebook and I'm talking to Joe or I'm following Joe's feeds and I'm like, oh, I need to check out this, I'm going to go through Facebook's search engine first to find people I'm not going to leave. So it's critical.
Okay, quick question. If you're saying 25% are at Facebook,
Yeah.
what's the percentage that are at Google? 75, or they got the 50?
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Google still doesn't own search.
Yeah.
Google is the 800-pound gorilla when it comes to search. What I'm telling you is right now,
Facebook
You
is
better be on one.
Facebook is the
Facebook is above Bing. Facebook is the second place.
in 13 years, Facebook has usurped Yahoo, Bing. So, I don't know what Google is in terms of web pages open. I can tell you that Facebook is one of every 4. You have a question there?
Yeah, I'm going back to Joe's question about that pay-to-play.
Yeah.
Is there any broad information that you could give us, just kind of what would that normally cost for business? I know it must be a wide range, but.
You can actually set the budget. you know, it comes down to budget allocation, and you're not gonna wanna promote every post, as we talked about, if it's top of mind, or if it's branding, or if there's other content you're trying to push. That's where the retail component might be of value. You're offering a special, you're promoting an event, it's a unique one-time offering, and you wanna boost the traffic towards, and you can do, I mean, it's significantly inexpensive on a per-reach basis. And then, engagement is the next thing that you're looking for. So you can definitely trumpet the message to a wide audience, but is your call to action significant enough to drive traffic back to your website?
The other thing is, and I agree, and the analytics to back it up too. I mean, it's significantly less inexpensive than any print option out there. The other thing that, we get back to, Facebook is a giant CRM database. And I'm not an advocate of the shotgun advertising approach. Facebook is a sniper. You can find exactly who you want to talk to. I'll give you another example.